Hey everyone, it's Coach Matt over here at Primal Athlete Training Center, www.primalatc.com. Answering a question today on javelins. Now, we've been getting a few javelin questions. We had a coach the other day email about selecting the right javelin, picking out the right javelin for his athlete. And today we have a question on javelin care, javelin maintenance. And this one was left on the YouTube page, on my YouTube channel. But I get those just like every other email or message that you send. So if that's a place where you find me, make sure you leave these questions and I'll get them answered here online for you. And it says, it comes from A.B. Carpenter, and he says, I have a quick housekeeping question about a javelin I have. I'm a college javelin thrower, and this summer I had a session in the rain and unfortunately had to take some weeks off and didn't dry my javelin as well as I thought I did. And there's some rust on the tip. He mentions that it is a steel javelin, so it's going to rust. He says, I'm just wondering some advice about how to remove it. Thanks for all the videos. Big fan and keep them coming. Austin. So Austin, this question is for you. One of the things you have to realize is that there are a lot of different javelins out there, and when you are considering purchasing a javelin, that's one of the things to take into account is care and maintenance. Now, taking care of a javelin is a lot harder than taking care of a shot put or taking care of a discus, because javelins don't just get weighed in as far as their actual weight, they also get measured and they check their balance point. So if the javelin is really rusty on one end and you clean the rust off, over time that's going to throw off the weight over the course of a year or so if it keeps getting rusty and it's not maintained properly. Same thing too if the cord in the middle is really wet. When they go to measure or to take the balance of that javelin, having extra wetness or extra moisture in the javelin cord might throw off the balance point and the javelin may not balance correctly. You may not be able to use it during that meet. So one of the things, I'm glad Austin asked this, has to deal with taking care of rust on the javelin. And to take care of rust on the javelin, you want to do a few things and you want to avoid a few things. Number one, things to avoid, you don't want to use any type of scrubbing sponge or brush to get the rust off of that tip. Something like a Brillo pad or steel wool SOS pad, that's going to really scratch and scrape the tip of that javelin and might take off a little bit of extra weight of the javelin as well, again affecting the balance of that jav. You want to use a soft towel, like an old dish towel or an old bath towel. Paper towel works well. An old t-shirt, anything that's soft, preferably like soft cotton or terry cloth that you use in a towel. Great way to get rid of rust. Don't use something really abrasive or harsh like steel wool. Now the other thing is, to get rust off of a javelin, sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of water. Get the towel damp and try to scrape that rust off. If it's surface rust and it's only been there for a little while, more than likely it's going to rub right off and you don't have to worry about it. You just rub it off, dry it real good, and you should be ready to go. If the rust has been there for a while and the rust has sort of impregnated the steel of that tip, if the rust is starting to pit and eat away at it, but it's not too bad, then what you want to do is get a rust remover. WD-40 is cheap and it works really well. You can get like more commercial grade rust, things that take care of rust in like a bathroom. If you have any rust on your shower head, there's a product called CLR, which is I think calcium, lime, and rust. Takes care of those. Or you can go down to Walmart or your local auto parts store and get brake cleaner, B-R-A-K-E, like the brakes of your car. Brake cleaner. Brake cleaner is going to work well to take the rust off of there as well. Just make sure when you use all these, use a soft cloth. Use an old t-shirt, an old towel, whatever you have lying around. Now, be careful with these commercial type cleaners. Make sure you're using them outside. Don't use them in your house. Don't use them in your garage, because they do smell. You do want to be in a good, well-ventilated area. The other thing is, once you clean your javelin, If you notice that it's still a little bit damp, if you notice that it's still a little bit wet, or that the Javelin cord itself has a lot of moisture in it, don't put it back in the Javelin tube. If it came to you in a plastic tube or a cardboard tube, don't put it back in the tube. Put it somewhere dry for a day or two to let it dry out. So keep it in your dorm room. Keep it in a dry indoor area by your track. Keep it in your garage. Keep it in your house, somewhere where there's going to be room temperature, where it's not going to be damp, where it's not going to be real humid. That way, the cord will dry out, the Javelin itself will dry off, and there's no chance of getting any moisture on the Javelin so that it starts to rust again. This is something you really have to watch out for. Shot put's easy. Shot put, you take the rust off, you don't really have to worry about balance or anything like that. But over the course of time with the Javelin, if it does keep getting rusty, the rust can eat underneath the paint. If it's a steel Javelin, it's going to ruin the balance of the Javelin. It's going to ruin the overall toughness of the Javelin. It might dent easier, the Javelin might break, the Javelin might bend, because the rust is going to weaken that Javelin tip, and it's going to weaken the shaft of that Javelin as well. Guys, this is a great question. It's like Javelin Week. We've got a few Javelin questions from our guys all around the world, and I really love answering these questions. So make sure if you have questions, email them to matt@primalatc.com. I'll get them answered for you right away here on the blog and on YouTube. Keep them coming, guys. These are questions I would never think to answer on videos unless other people were asking them. So if you have a question, no matter how small you think that question is or how difficult that question might be, ask that question. I'll get it answered for you, and you'll be helping throwers from all around the world who check out this blog on a daily basis. Thanks, and I hope to hear from you soon.